our 2024 Candidates Forum. My name is Beth Thied, and I'm the Director of Community Education for La Crescent Polka. This is now my 13th year being here, and La Crescent Community Ed and the La Crescent Area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism have partnered for as long as I've been here to offer this event to the public every 2 years. It's taken a lot of different formats over the years. One year that got a little much was when we did have a debate style between some of our state level candidates, and we heard a lot of feedback that was not what people really wanted to hear. They really wanted to get to know their neighbors that were running for the local seats, and so we've changed to now we hold this for candidates of local and contested races. So this year there happened to be quite a few races where there aren't any opposition. So this year we just have the ISD 300 school board candidates here for you. We want to be able to get these guys in front of you so you can ask the questions. That's why you were handed a piece of paper as you walked in. We would love to have a question. If you want to write your questions and then just lift them up, we'll have our chamber members or myself pick them up, and we'll have them queued up here, ready to go. One of the things we always like to remind you, even though you look like a very well-educated group of voters out here, but if you would like to see a sample ballot, you can go to the Minnesota Secretary of State website, www.sos.state.mn.us, and click on Elections and Voting. After you type in your exact address, they will show you what your ballot will look like. All right, and without further ado, I'm going to introduce one of the Chamber's directors. This is Krista Burnell, who will be, Burnell, they do it okay. And she will be our MC for this evening. She will introduce you to our candidates.
Good evening. Thank you, Beth. Okay, I just want to reiterate that responses to questions will be time limited. Opening statements and responses to questions will be limited to 2 minutes. Your closing statements will be limited to 1 minute. Questions will be asked of candidates in a rotating order so that no one individual always answers first. Our timekeepers are right in front of you in the first row. They will hold up a 30-second warning sign as well as a stop sign when your time is done. Listeners, again, you may submit questions at any time on the forms provided. Please just raise your hand and somebody will come and grab that from you and get them up to me so that they can be asked. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. So to start out the night, we're going to start with Mr. Brandon Lang. Please just introduce yourself by sharing what motivates you to run for school board and identify the most important skills that you bring to this office. Again, 2 minutes.
Thank you. As you said, my name is Brandon Lang. First of all, I'd like to thank Community Ed and the Chamber for hosting this event so that the community can hear about the candidates for school board. All of us here obviously have an interest in helping the community and helping the school district be the best that it can be. What motivates me to run for the school board is I'd like to see myself as a servant leader, and I really enjoy helping the community that I live in. And I'm a recent transplant. I moved here about 3 years ago, and I've done a few things. I've joined PTO, which I've really enjoyed, and I've done the food shelf, done a whole bunch of things, but this is something that I thought I could really dig into to help the community to kind of shape, to make sure that the school district and our community can be successful in a lot of different ways. I have 3 kids in the school district and a lovely wife. She's great. And I think the most important skills that I bring are, I have a background in education. So I'm an assistant dean. I work remotely for a community college in the Quad Cities. And so I bring those leadership skills and the knowledge of education. I think that's a strength of mine. As a dean, I have supervisory properties that instructors, and part of the job is to basically supervise Mindy. So I think that's something that I could bring to the table as well as some other skills. But I'm really looking forward to answering questions tonight, and I hope they're challenging, and we might not know all the answers, but I'm really glad to be here tonight to talk.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. Mr. Wade Welper is next. Again, what motivates you to run for school board and the most important skills that you bring to this office?
Hi everybody, my name is Wade Welper, and probably about 6 weeks ago I got put back on the board again, and then they voted me their chairperson. I'm not really sure how that happened, but I've been on and off the board now for about 10 years, and why do I want to be on the board? I really enjoy it, and it's something that where I know I can give back to the community by being on the board. And after being on the board for about 10 years, I've kind of gotten halfway decent at it. There's a whole bunch of things you have to know to be on the board and how to work through different situations and how you follow up, financial, special education, transportation, whatever it may be. And I find that I have a good way of working with the local school district and the families and the parents, and I understand that the most important thing we have to do here is our students. You get one chance to educate a student, and my dedication will always be to the students and their families. I understand that as a chairperson, I have to respond to people, and my job has always been that I know my dedication has to be back to the community, and I will do everything possible here to see it be a success. I love living in McCrescent. I'm originally from Caledonia. I'm sorry, that's a whole different story. But, I'm here now. My kids have graduated, and they're both in college. One has graduated college, and one is moving on because they both said they had a fantastic education here. And I want to continue that for every student. Every student is important. And that's why I'm here again tonight. I really enjoy this, and I'm glad to see we have a good turnout tonight, and I look forward to answering all your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Welper. Next, we have Mr. Stephen Porter.
Good evening, my name is Steve Porter. I have lived in La Crescent for 17 years with my wife Kelly, and I have two students currently in the district. My son is in the 7th grade, my daughter's in the 4th grade. I think my interest in the school board and running for school board has evolved over the course of the last year. There's been a few areas where I feel I got interested in the school board. I thought there's some room for improvement, communication with the school districts and the families and the communities. And it got me interested in how are we rolling things out, what is happening at the board. And so I got interested over the course of the last year, and have been following the board meetings, the agendas, and just really learning about what does the school board do and what does one function as. And so as I've been learning, I thought I see some areas for improvement and thought I can bring a good skill set to the board and really serve my community and help serve on the school board, and at the end of the day, help our students and help our staff that are within this district. So some specific skills I think I bring in my professional area of my life. I'm the Director of System Planning and Operations at the Deer Power Cooperative. I'm an electrical engineer by trade, so problem solver, so I definitely, working with my team and leading my team in my profession, it definitely includes asking questions, trying to find solutions, and just trying to rely on people that are experts in their field. And so as the board, as we work with the superintendent, district leadership, they will bring their expertise, but certainly a board that's healthy to be asking questions and trying to understand what are some issues that are happening in the district and how can we improve. And so I think I bring some of those skills to the board. And then just my personal experiences. Like I said, I have two students in the district, and so I've certainly seen things over the 7 years my son has been in the district, and I bring some personal experience and things I'd like to look into and work with my fellow board members if elected.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Ms. Paige Shapel.
Hi, I'm Paige Shapel, and before I begin really talking, I'm originally not from Minnesota. But I've been in La Crescent for 11 years. Before that, we were in Bemidji for 10. So this is a little bit more like North Carolina weather. But I am motivated Foundation. I served on the PTO for years and the ISD Foundation. Being a business owner, I really want to push getting the community involved with the school board and advocate, of course, for the students, teachers, and staff.
Thank you, Ms. Shable. And I do have an introduction from Mr. Eric Morgan that I will read to you, although he was not able to join us tonight. Mr. Morgan moved to La Crescent in 2002. He raised 2 graduates and has a senior this year. Ultimately, the good of the kids is what guides his decision-making processes, and he is proud to have served on the school board the last 12 years and would appreciate your support, and he apologizes for not being able to make it tonight. Okay, question number 1, and this will go to you, Mr. Welper, first. What do you see as the primary responsibilities of a school board member, and what will be your priorities?
My primary goal is to supervise the superintendent. That is what we are doing. The superintendent is hired to manage the school district and all the employees and to put forth the vision. It's a shared vision. We work directly with the superintendent as we develop the goals for the school district, but that is our primary focus then. Lots of times I think in different districts they get into a little bit more micromanaging and the board members get into athletics and things like that. We have an athletic director here, which is supervised by the superintendent. My job, the board's job, is to supervise the superintendent and help with policy, interpret policy, and anytime we have an issue, our job is to help bring resolution to any issue that may come forth. What might that look like? Just as an example, in Brownsville, there was some families down there that had a bus situation where the bus was on the wrong side of the road, and we had 4 different meetings to try to get the bus route changed so that those kids wouldn't be put in a dangerous situation. We brought resolution to that. That's what board members have to do. We work with the public to bring resolution to any topics and to work directly with the superintendent to move things forward. And I've been doing that now for about 10 years, and it's been very successful when we do it that way. We have a very good superintendent here in a management thing, and I need to let them do their job, and we give them guidance, and we help with policy as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Welper. Mr. Porter, again, what do you see as the primary responsibilities of a school board member, and what will your priorities be?
Yeah, I think Wade said it well. The board's primary responsibility is the leader of the superintendent, in this case, Melinda. And so everyone has a leader in our profession or in our careers, and so as we lead or work with the district leadership, our role is to work with them as experts in the field to provide policy, strategy, strategic roadmaps, longer version thinking, but also it can be lonely at the top, and so a way to bounce off ideas, discuss, help find solutions, and think of other alternatives for problems that we're facing. And then accountability. If something didn't go right, as a board, we can review and work with the district superintendent and work for continuous improvement. One area where as I've been researching, learning, and growing, I think strategic, like I said, strategy, the kudos to the district. We've developed the 2023 strategic roadmap, which is great. And a lot of the issues that I read in there as far as strategic directives are still issues today. And so I'd like to see more of the board working with the leadership. How are we achieving our strategies? How are we measuring our progress in those areas? Because I think some of the issues and some of the strategic directions that have been identified are common throughout the district, and so we need to make sure we're working with, as the superintendent's leader, we're working and measuring that progress and holding our leadership accountable. How are we improving? What are we doing? And just while we get updates from the district, we are relying on that local leadership or that local expertise of our district leadership, and so to make sure we're measuring and evaluating as we go throughout the school year as a school board.
Thank you. Ms. Shable?
Like before, I think overseeing the superintendent is probably our main role. Monitoring our budget is also very important. Carrying out policies that the school has in place and developing new policies and procedures What I would like to do more is to ensure a higher quality curriculum and be there to advocate for the teachers and staff and the administrators. And I think just from my experience teaching, when I was teaching at the elementary school in La Crescent, I think just making sure that we are providing a safe environment for the students. They all feel like we've got equal education for every student. So that's going to be my number one priorities.
Thank you. And Mr. Lane?
Yeah, so I think that this is a great question, and all three the people who have answered it have answered what I would agree with as well, right? So I think the primary is to basically supervise the superintendent, make sure that she is leading her team the way that it needs to be led, but not meddle in the little things that are in the school district. That's why we hired the superintendent to do that particular job. But like Steve was saying, about accountability, we need to have accountability. But so I agree with everything that they've said. In addition to, I think, making sure that we're connected to the community as well. And so one of my goals is to kind of make sure that everybody in the community knows that I'm available to be reached out to if you have concerns. Some of the things that the community is concerned about, we might not be able to do much about, but we can at least relay that information to Mindy and see if something can be done. But yeah, the curriculum, I really like that, just making sure that we're creating really good kids and that we're basically educating them so that they're productive members of society. That's pretty much what my major goal is.
Thank you. Our next question will begin with Mr. Porter. Explain how you feel about learning online versus learning at a school building.
I feel learning online is difficult. It's not the same. I think a lot of this can equate it to, or at least I personally, many workplaces have gone to a mix of work from home and work from the office, and it's just not the same. And so I think it's very, very similar for our students, and I think we saw a lot of struggles during COVID and learning online. I think it's difficult to keep attention, teachers to read kids' faces and read reaction. It's just not the same level of interaction. So I think learning online, while it has a place, and I think it has a great place in some of our online learning days, if we've had too many snow days, it can be a good substitute for certain extreme conditions. Generally, I saw with my two kids that were in the school district, learning online just wasn't the same thing. Sadly, and we joke about this in my house, but it's really not a joke. My son was in 3rd grade during COVID, and they just skipped cursive. So anytime he has to sign his name, you can't do it because they just skipped that year for COVID. So you don't learn the same, you don't retain the same, and so yeah, it just has that extra hurdle of learning, so it's just very difficult. So definitely support in person as much as we can, but it has its place if it can fill in for a snow day, like instead of having buses on the road, for example.
Thank you.
So interestingly, I teach online. I taught in the brick and mortar for years. I started teaching 30 years ago, but took some time off to raise 4 kids. I never thought I would be able to do online. Mine's a different situation. I teach kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade students that are special education children with autism and have health-related problems that cannot be in the big brick and mortar environment. So mine is different. I would never be able to have my own kids online. That's just, I can teach online. I want my kids in the school building, in a building. I enjoy it, I love it. This is for the Houston School District. We still see our kids in person. We still have field trips. Mine's just a different situation because these kids cannot be in the regular classroom. So I see both sides, and I support both. I think for me and my family, it's
also have experience online, so I've taught online, taught at a community college online for about 12 years now. And so when it comes to online, I think it's a deeper issue of the modality of learning and whether or not the student has adequate supports. When we have students, now granted, I'm going to speak from my experience in the community college setting, students are advised whether or not the online modality is right for them. It may or may not be right. You have to be very disciplined, but you also have to be, you have to give them the resources that they need to be successful. And so when it comes to K-12 education, I'm not really the biggest fan of online because kids need structure, right? So while I'm kind of in favor of, the learning days at home for online, it's not the best, but at the same time, I don't really think that as a district we can judge it because our teachers were not taught how to be online teachers. And when COVID happened and it was a really, it was boom, everybody suddenly had to do online, I think the main reason that people disliked online is because the people weren't, and it wasn't that they weren't adequately prepared, but it was like a really fast transition. And it's hard to do that management from there. And truthfully, first, second graders, they don't know time management, right? They need that structure in there. So I'm open for online, but I also know that there are some financial restrictions when it comes to that, when it comes to funding. So that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. But if a student that's a junior or a senior is well placed to be in online, I'm actually quite in favor of giving that option to our students.
My son was graduating kind of when this hit with the COVID, and he got to do schooling from home and the online. He loved it. He was not a social butterfly. He thought it was great. He got his homework done early. I questioned him on it sometimes. I don't think his education was the same as it would have been if it was in person. He's even admitted to that now. He's actually looking for grad school now, and he goes, I really want to go someplace where it's in person. It's there for when it's needed, the weather-impacted learning days, different things like that. But if you look at the studies that came out from this, when people were forced to kind of do the schooling from home, people's scores went way down. It was, I think some kids, to be honest, said they're still kind of recovering from it. My own personal opinion is it's there if it's needed for like the weather delays and things like that. It's also there for some unique students that I think it's there for. But overall, I want people here in class. I think that's where they learn the best. I myself, we always do go-to meetings. My mind wanders on a go-to meeting. I answer emails. I'm not paying attention all the time. I think to have some students do that, I think it's a lot to ask. So there was a time we did that. It's set up for some students, but overall, I would like the kids here in school. I think that's how they learn best. Our teachers are here. They're set up for that. That's what they were taught to do as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will begin with Ms. Shapel. How do you plan to support district staff in making meaningful use of time, thought, and investment in the new strategic plan?
I have to go first. Okay, we can repeat.
Yes, ma'am. How do you plan to support district staff in making meaningful use of time, thought, and investment in the new strategic plan?
So I think we need to have the staff, whether it be teachers, administrators, paras, to all, I think it's all a communication and joining together to find out what are those needs. What helps them to teach better? What resources do they need? And I think a lot of it is really building that rapport and communication and finding out, we hear the teachers are upset or the staff's upset or we're understaffed, but having a strategic staff. But I think really expressing and understanding the board, understanding what those needs are.
Thank you. Mr. Lang, I'll repeat it just one more time. How do you plan to support district staff in making meaningful use of time, thought, and investment in the new strategic plan?
So I'm a huge proponent of professional development, and this, a lot of times when it comes to professional development for educators, it's making sure that time's allocated and compensated for them to learn said activities. And so when it comes to supporting staff, I think it's just very important to make sure, once again, I'm not going to be, the board has an ability to encourage, but we're not going to be managing that professional development, but making sure that our teachers have the tools that they need to succeed. And so I know there's delicate, you have to be very budget conscious about it, right? There might not be, there might be some limitations, you have to choose one thing over the other, but to make sure to put those resources in the hands of the teachers so that they can be successful and feel confident, so that that is able to be used by the teachers to help teach the students. And I think one of the good things about strategic planning is making sure that we have measurable goals, right? So I'm going to encourage that during that strategic process that we have SMART goals, we have, that are measurable, attainable, and are things that we can make sure that we have the ability to hold the school accountable for.
Strategic planning. I've been on the board for about 10 years. I've been off the last 2. How do I want to say this? Strategic planning can be pushed aside very easily because it's not a shared thing. And I'm talking to Mindy in the past about this, now it has to be shared. Shared being it has to be the teachers working with administration to develop the goals. It can't come from the top on down. Most people here have been involved in different organizations where they have a strategic plan and it never gets communicated well, or it's a great thing, they got a 5-year plan and it's never referenced again. Working with Mindy now is what realistic goals are we going to have for the districts that we've worked with the teachers to develop and the administrators, so that when we put this forward, it's something we can address at every meeting moving forward with measurable goals, as the other colleagues here have said, and what are we going to do each time to kind of improve on it. Strategic planning is a buzzword lots of times for organizations. I don't want it to be a buzzword here again, and I've seen that with different people who did it. They were well-intentioned, but it didn't go very well. And I think if we do work with the teachers directly with that, I've been on the lead negotiator with the unions on this before. It's another thing to put that into it and say, this is our plan, we want to move forward with it. You can't really build it into the master agreement, but it can be part of the conversation we have moving forward. It's us working together. It's with the teachers, it's never us against them. This is our plan moving together about what we want to see for all the students and the goals we want to reach in the district. So strategic planning, it's a great idea. We just have to make sure it's something that we can all do together. Thank you.
So I think what I've heard in my career from my leadership is you focus on what you're measuring is what you focus on. So if we're keeping an eye on, I talked earlier about the 2023 strategic roadmap that was developed, and it's a very good document. Check out if you haven't. So kudos to the school board. But as I read that, I'm seeing, our mission, vision, and values, our core values, but there's also strategic directives, and in there is a 3-year plan and a 3-year measurable plan, and so far in my participation, as I've been paying attention to the school board, I don't see anything being measured. So I think that's where we're losing focus on what are we achieving, are we making progress. Based on what I've seen in some of our strategic directives on communication with families between the school district, efficient operations with the staff. If you're not measuring it, you're not making progress, and so far I haven't seen progress. So I think that's one area where I focus is, I start at the top. How can we, with either Mindy or the principals, they certainly give their monthly updates, but how can we make sure our strategic directives are in those updates to make sure we're measuring that we're making progress, or what we're doing. We certainly have our day-to-day and our students that we're focused on, but activities we're doing, things we're implementing, are those the strategic directives that we've identified in our roadmap? And are we moving towards that? If they're not, why haven't we identified it? Or do we need to shift our priorities? So I would start at the top to make sure we're measuring in making progress. And again, once you're measuring, you're realizing what you're spending your time on. And I think that leads to the question of, do we need to shift our priorities, or, if we're not driving towards those directives, it raises more and more questions. So I would start at the top, and then the top down to staff. We do need buy-in to achieve any kind of strategy. But certainly we start at the top with superintendent and the principals.
Thank you. Mr. Lang, back to you to start. There are a few pieces to this question, so bear with me. What do you think is the most challenging issue facing the district now and in the near future, as well as some of the biggest challenges facing our students? So challenges now and in the future for the district, and the biggest challenges facing our students.
So I think one of the biggest challenges that we have in the district is enrollment and competition with other schools. As you may or may not know, funding is based on how many students you have. So if you don't have students, you don't get money in order to pay for teachers. So there's a couple of things that are the consequence of this, and as we all know, most of the time it's increased class sizes. And I think one thing that the district has done and prioritized, which I'm really happy about, is making sure that for our kindergartners, that those class sizes are very small, because that really gives that one-on-one attention to those students so they can get that good start. But it's both a competition with other schools in the district or in the area, as well as just people aren't having as many kids anymore. So that's going to be a challenge that we have to figure out, to be a little bit more creative when it comes to how we can get some funding sources and try to get some extra money into maybe get some grants or something. And that's one thing that I'd love to do is kind of look for some external funding sources to do some projects on the side. For students, I think, from what I've kind of heard, I think one of the biggest things that a lot of our students are concerned about is belonging and feeling welcome, and making sure that they're not being bullied. I know that that's a big issue that students are concerned about, so we just have to make sure that our students are hopefully that we encourage curriculum that stops that, and so everybody feels that they're in a safe learning environment. And that's what we want for all of our students. Thanks.
Thank you.
I would say that the number one challenging issue is how do we continually improve the education of our students and the quality of education with limited financial resources. If you go back many, many years, the state used to provide more and more funding. Now they kind of keep reducing it. We had a little COVID boost, that was nice, but that went away. And now they continue to kind of push people back to the local communities. If you look at the local communities around here, they're all having levies. All of them are trying to get more money, or referendums to try to get more money. Our job as school board members to work with administration, they need to find out what is the difference between a want versus a need. We really want this, what is the need? It'd be nice to have our own special ed coordinator here. It would be nice to have our own reading curriculum person here. We have to make choices all the time with limited resources. The community has given us a lot of resources. They continually improve the school, everything like that, and our job now is to do what we can with those resources. It's just always a challenge, and every year we have to adjust. Different years will show up, and all of a sudden we have 14 extra kids in first grade. How the heck did that happen? Well, now we need another teacher. Well, it's great they're here, but now we have to adjust it. And so the most challenging thing is every year is adjusting to the students. What can we do every year to get a little bit better? We do have a lot of competition here, as was said. We have clients, we have private schools, we have home schools, we have Montessori, all good schools as well. We have to keep raising the bar. I think that's the most challenging issues. We have to get better every year. For students, it's mental health. It's the mental health of the people, the students here. I never experienced that growing up, but I didn't have cell phones. I didn't have this multimedia thing. I'm an older dude now, but talking to my kids and talking to other kids, there's a lot going on with that. I know us limiting the cell phones and things like that, and we have to be very responsive to that with the social workers and training our teachers to be able to recognize students in need so we can give them the help they need. We have no idea what's going on in a different child's home life. And it's not our business, maybe to know our business is to help that child, and we're gonna do everything we can.
So, I would say the challenge we face in the district, probably similar to Wade and Brandon, is that, enrollment, but I think it's, and I would focus on, you know, as I've been talking to people that I was considering running for the school board, I've heard from more than one family that said they pulled their student out and went somewhere else, and that's a shame. So we already have perhaps a larger number of students in the community that would be enrolled in the public school here, but then we're losing some students because those students' needs haven't been met for a variety of reasons. That leads to the challenge. I mean, there are so many unique circumstances right now with students, and so how do we make sure that the students we have or could have live in the community and could be enrolling in our public schools are going to this school so we get the associated funding? How do we meet these students' needs? And so I think there's a mix of a challenge of meeting the current students we have so we can retain them and keep them and keep them in the schools, but also build up the trust with the community. Because, like I said, I have not talked to that many families, but there's been a handful that, again, they have pulled their students out of the schools and gone elsewhere or homeschooled, and that's a shame. So I think we need to build that trust with the community, get as many of the students we could that are potential in our community, in these schools, in our schools, and that's going to be a benefit. Student challenges, similar to what others have said, there is so much bullying at these students these days. As much as we want to control it with cell phones and athletics and then the rigors of school that we're trying to put on, there's a lot going on. They're getting stressed, and so as much as we can try to help them, support them, it's going to be a benefit. It's a challenge. I don't have all the answers, but certainly something I'm aware of, and it always should be on the radar.
Thank you.
So like they said, finances, I believe finances are our number one challenge. We're in a small community, so we've got less students, which brings us in less money. And then that's, you know, kids leave to go to, you know, lacrosse or Aquinas. So I think trying to somehow prioritize and, you know, the finances, keeping these teachers, we've got some phenomenal teachers, but there's competitive salaries. We don't have as many students, we don't have as much money, we can't pay our teachers as much. So it's a continual cycle. We may not have as many computer programs as another school does. Maybe the kindergartners get Chromebooks, but 90%, I feel like, and probably 75% of schools across the country, financial issues is probably number one. As far as the students, it's like my colleague said, it's all has to do with feeling safe, the bullying, and feeling accepted in this, you know, in an environment. And I feel like schools everywhere across probably the world deal with that. Kids feeling accepted and feeling safe is what we need to work on.
Thank you. Mr. Welper, the question to you is, please share your opinion on offering career and technical courses such as shop, home economics, mechanical, electrical, plumbing courses, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where this got in the line before, but the tech thing is a wonderful career. Again, I went to Caledonia, I was in FFA, I was in welding, I was horrible at it, but I understood that it is a wonderful career for people to be moving forward. Somewhere along the line, it got given a bad rap, and absolutely, we should be promoting that as much as possible. I can tell you, my son's going to college right now, and he's gonna have a big chunk of debt, and he is not gonna be making as much as somebody who went into the trades. And the trades also just goes beyond the trades as well into your own type of business. We should be promoting that 100%. By promoting it, though, we're promoting whatever students want to do. We should be making sure we have that opportunity that they can achieve it here. We have large companies in La Crescent as well that promote the trades as well. A friend of my son's just went into construction management, different things with that. It's not even, it used to be just guys. It's males, females. We're all looking at the different trades, and we should be doing everything possible to promote it. Again, I think that
definitely part of, well, we can talk career, but we can also talk, personally went into a 4-year degree for electrical engineering degree, but I took those classes, in a project known as senior high school. They were offered, they built skills, so I think they're applicable to all students, and almost to the extent of, we should be preparing our students for any of the paths forward, for a long time, 4-year college was hard, but if they want to go straight into a career field or technical college, we need to be offering classes to support our students for whatever they choose to go to. I hear it all the time. My dad owns a small manufacturing plant in Lewiston, Minnesota. He's always looking for people that have taken those technical classes in Lewiston personally, but anywhere, and there's just not a lot, he's gone to the extent of trying to make it required in Lewiston after they drop that requirement, because these are good skills that students build when they're taking classes like this. And so at least offering them so that students can build those skills is huge, and I think it goes back to the overall holistic education where we need to prepare our students for any of the courses they choose after they're done with their senior year, because all options are viable in this world, everyone's hiring, and if that's what the student wants to do, let's prepare them for that next step, if it's going straight into career field, technical college, or 4-year school.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree, preparing them for whatever they want to do. I wish I had taken more classes like that, like just simple everyday things. My 4 kids, luckily there's still 2 here, so they are getting some of that, and I love to hear, I think it was Mr. Moulton's class where they make the different things, and then they have a shop and they sell them. I can't remember I think it was 9th grade. And I loved seeing that I've got a couple of plaques in my house displayed where one of my kids had made something in his class, had made a plaque in his class, and it's just good to see that, even if it just lasts a few months, they got to experience it. So I would love to see more of it, and, start maybe even younger if we could, so.
It'd be funny if I said I was against it, wouldn't it? No, I'm absolutely in favor of CTE courses. I think it's one of those things where I think when you're a child, when you're a young adult, when you're growing up, you don't really know what you want to do. And so I think it's our responsibility as a district to try to offer as many opportunities and classes that we can for our students, whether it be like welding or shop or even the robotics classes, something related to integrated technologies. I think what's tough about it is it comes down to the money, the issue of money. And if we want these things for our students, we have to make it known as a community that we value these things, and so our students can experience things. And I think, just on a related note, it's with other things too, with the arts as well, making sure that those things are available. But yeah, I think if you're arguing against career and technical, something's wrong, because they're jobs that are needed. We need to provide opportunities for all students and for all interests. If it's the 4-year, I did the 4-year. Sometimes I wonder if that was a mistake, but it was what was being pushed at the time. But we definitely need to make sure that students have those experiences and are able to take those short classes and see if they're interested in those particular fields.
Thank you. Mr. Porter? What is the main difference between a school board and either a town or city council member? The difference between a school board and town or city council?
I haven't served on either, but that's all we're learning. I think both are, I don't know if there's differences in what they govern, obviously with our city council, and versus the school board, governing the school district versus the city, but I think both are similar in that they govern and make decisions. So if you're working with the mayor for the city or the superintendent for the school district, both are a collection of volunteers that are willing to serve their community. But the subject matter is certainly different. But similarly, we are not experts in running a city or experts in running a school district. Certainly need to rely on a certain number of subject matter experts that do that often at work. I don't have all the answers, but as serving on a board like that, you're asking questions, you're trying to understand, and then work with folks that are trained in a certain area with whatever you're trying to address and come to solutions as a collective board. Both examples.
Thank you.
I'm with you, I've not served on either, but city council would oversee the mayor, maybe? And the school board, overseeing the superintendent. The city council members are there to provide, just like with the school board, to set policies and ensure those policies are carried out. Both oversee budget. Of course, with the school board, we are dealing more with the children. We do have the staff, but they're both important jobs, not anything, it's more of a volunteer, and that's it.
Thank you.
So I think my colleagues have kind of talked the logistical aspect between the school boards, but I think one thing that's very important to mention about, is working together. So I know that the school board worked with, the school district and the city worked together to put up the, slow down, I suppose you could say, in the school zones. So I think that one of the things that is important is that the city council and the school board work together to make sure that we're able to get things better in the community so that the roads are good and safe especially in town, so that students can get here safely. The sidewalks, that they're accessible for students who might need the use of a wheelchair or bike paths. Lots of great things that the city has done. But like my colleagues have said, the main difference is that the city council supervises the mayor and we supervise the superintendent.
Well, I think the city council gets paid more, but I'm not going to go down that road. They're really quite similar, just because of the fact that we work hand in hand with the city council on a number of things. We have that nice arena where we own the land and the building, and then they have the lease on it, and then it's from the hockey arena. We work with them with Apple Fest, with the lights on the softball field and things like that, because we had to get some zoning change like that. So we work with the city council all the time. I think we've got the same mayor here for 25 years though? I don't think is that a lifetime position? I'm not sure. So it's a little bit different that way, in that they're structured around with constituents in the entire city. And a lot of the times we're responsible for all constituents as well, but we focus more on the children and their families. So there's a little bit of a difference there, but we're still very similar in how we do is we serve the people, we have to be responsive to everything that's put out to us, and we have to, again, bring resolution to any subject that may come up to us. And we've worked with them in the past, and they're very easy to work with because, again, we're all from the same community here, we're neighbors.
Ms. Schlegel, yes. How will you advocate at the legislative level for increased school funding?
Ooh, wow. I always get the hard ones first. I think and it would be hard to fight because at the legislative level, they're gonna tell us, well, you don't have but so many students that we could allocate funds for. That would be, I think, coming together, not just as a board, but using the community input, the teachers, again, and staff and administrators, and seeing what are our main needs, what are our goals for the school, and letting them know that this is what we're going to use our money for, this is what we need. We're, fighting, we're in a small community, not as many kids in our school district. And right across 2 miles away, we've got a larger school district that have a higher teacher pay scale. So I think using our resources from everyone, the community, students, mainly, you know, the board and the teachers come together and advocate. Thank you.
So I think one of the most important things to do is to develop relationships with the local legislators, depending legislators, I should say. And they're obviously up for re-election, but whoever wins that, making sure that we have someone on the board that's going to be in contact with them, not necessarily lobbying, but maybe lobbying, to try to give us more funding. I think that's something that as a district we could definitely use. I also know, I think, like I said, I don't have any experience like Wade does here, but like there are methods of training. I think there's an organization out there that helps train the board and gives us information on how to better effectively communicate with the legislature. So I think it's developing that relationship with the people who are elected and making sure that they know our concerns and our needs, and trying to convince them, because it's their actions that lead to future success.
I love them all, Republican, Democrat, you make relationships with whoever in there. Greg Davis, Gene Pulowski, whoever it is, you reach out. A lot of times what we do is rather complicated. When you start to get into special ed funding and things like that, you got a whole different world, and we'll just try to break it down for them, try to say, hey, this would be really nice if we could get this funded, like this transportation type thing with special education. If we could wrap that all in there and raise that cap out for us, it would really help our district, because we had a large percentage of people that had unique needs, and we were supporting them. How did we get that paid for? You reach out, you have a conversation with them. I've never had legislators say, I'm not for education. They might question a little bit more, they might be a little bit more limited in how many resources they might want to put towards it, but our job as school board members is to reach out and educate them. I think if you're going to reach like Greg Davis, he's not a big fan of email, personal letter or phone calls, going to get a lot more with him. So little things like that, you get to know them. When they've been out there for a while, they can get a lot of stuff done too if you do develop good relationships with them.
Yeah, echo the reaching out to local state representatives. One area as I've been kind of looking into this and learning and understanding is, to the extent we can, and certainly have areas to improve to learn how we advocate for the Crescent at the state level. My understanding from some research I've done is that the more that we can work, use our statewide association to be a voice at in St. Paul, it can be a benefit. So the Minnesota School Board Association can certainly be a voice to advocate, and if we can work with them to understand the Crescent's any geographical issues or funding issues, could help us as we advocate at the state level. I also understand there's some movement trying to get certain, like Southeast Minnesota school districts aligned. I think back in my professional life, we certainly have done some statewide lobbying for a few different topics, and I've always found there's strength in numbers. So instead of having a whole handful of individual districts trying to raise very different, slightly different concerns at the state level, the more we can align with some other school districts that are like us, to be one single, stronger voice at the state level would certainly be a benefit. And I think that's something we need to do to advocate for the Crescent. We've got, I'm sure some of our perils aren't unique in our sizing, but our geographic location out here in the corner certainly can be unique. So to the extent that we can, we should be advocating at the state to help our school district as much as we can.
Thank you. Mr. Lang, we're back with you for our final question before our closing remarks. What is one area or issue that you think the district could improve?
I think this is an issue that we always struggle with, and that's communication. So I'm a big fan of and I know the district is trying to address this, which makes me happy. But is letting the community, as well as parents, know what's going on in but it's just kind of making sure that we as parents know what's going on, and if there's anything that we can do to help support that.
I would say academic performance. Everything's available on the website for the Minnesota Department of Education, and when you compare districts of similar size to ours, I'm going to take Lake City, almost identical in size. They tend to be ahead of us in a number of categories. Plainview, Elgin, Melville, again, ahead of us in certain categories. You look at ACT scores, we kind of come way up on the top of that, but why are these other ones down there? That's working together with administration and teachers to develop, how do we get our test scores back up? Are test scores everything? Absolutely not. Are they important? Yeah, they really are. They're a predictor of future performance as well. So how do we're a school. Our number one job is to educate the kids. How do we continue to improve our academic performance each year? Where are we lacking? What resources do we need? That's where the board works with administration and we have to ask questions. What can we do to get this back up? What is your plan on that? This goes back to the question of the strategic plan. Again, our strategic plan is how do we best educate our kids? And how do we continually try to improve that so the education continually goes up? And comparing us to other districts kind of gives us a barometer of what we may need to do. So I'm looking at academic performance in whatever field it may be. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm firmly in the camp of communications. As I've been researching, considering I run for school board, it's very interesting to see how much time changes, but the issues don't. I think the 2022 form is still posted, and guess what? A lot of candidates said communications need to improve. Our 2023 strategic roadmap says communications need to improve, and we're still here today. And so I think that is huge. I'm a firm believer that we cannot have one side doing it all. We cannot have families sending their kids off and hoping school does 100% of the work to get the best education, or vice versa. It's got to be both sides pulling their weight, pulling in the same direction to really achieve the best we can for our students. And that needs to be getting people on the same page. And that's parents and staff and supporting them and getting them all on the same page. I've seen some great things out of the Principal Fitzlaws that she's probably brought some new ideas as the new principal this year. Her communications have been amazing this year so far for my 7th grader. How do we learn from that and spread that to the other schools? How do we keep improving in that? And so kind of back to my earlier comments, we've got to measure how are we working towards our strategic directives, and I can say I have not seen that in the past as I've been watching school board meetings, and so that's a really big key to me. And so I think we can have so many wins if we can just work on communications. There's so many technology tools out there. If we can just improve that and work on that, I think there's going to be a lot of wins. I know in my students' time in the district, I think we've had almost 10 apps between what the teachers use to communicate with parents. There's too many. It's not concise, it's not easy to use, and it's not supporting the parents as they're talking to their students at home. Additionally, on communications, we have Infinite Campus that got rolled out a few years ago, and then last year they were pushing for us to download the school app. Nobody knows why we're doing all these different things, so I think communications is so key. Just to get both on the same page so we can support our kids and just get the buy-in from parents as well.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Ms. Shapel?
And being a special education teacher and being in the school district at one time, I'm with Wade on improving our test scores. But to do that, we've got to have the resources. And to have the resources, we got to have money. But I feel like if we could involve our community in providing some of those resources for the teachers to use, then you will see a change. We have a ton of people that could come in and help in a class to teach. We've got local people right here in our community that could come in and help give some of these resources to the school. With my business, I tutor the ACT and other courses, and I think we have it here. We've just got to learn how to reach out to these businesses and people like you. Anyone in the community can offer us resources, and those resources can help us get those test scores up. It's here, I feel like we've got to learn how to communicate is another key issue, and get more people involved and know what's going on, and reach out and ask for grants, and whatever we can do to get those test scores up. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Welper, would you please lead us in your closing remarks? And just a reminder, this is a 1-minute time limit on your closing remarks.
No, I'm sorry. I'm committed to the Crescent Holding community. I love living here. I love being part of it. I'm on the volunteer soccer board. I am on umpire for baseball and softball. Yes, probably some of you yelled at me in here. Also for soccer, I enjoy that as well. I enjoy being on the school board because I enjoy being something that can make a difference. I enjoy everyone I'm on the school board with, Darcy. I've also been on the school board for about 10 years, and I kind of know what I'm doing now. There's really nothing that would come forward now that I haven't experienced in the past. So I have that with the financial side of things, special education, transportation, discipline, working with the teachers, negotiating contracts. I've been all part of that in the past. I enjoy it, and it's about good relationships, and I look forward to continuing those good relationships. I'm done.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone's time tonight, coming and listening. One area, just quickly, we have not touched on is efficiency. Another area I want to be, and I want to make sure we're getting off of this efficiency with technology and how are we using that in the school district. Technology can be a great tool. I've seen a lot of disconnects in my students' time in the district with technology. We just truly need a technology roadmap. So I think that's one area we have not touched on all that we really do need to emphasize as a district. More generally, for my running for school board, I'm excited for the opportunity. I volunteer with my youth sports for my kids, and I appreciate seeing those kids grow. And so this volunteer position, I think, bring a lot of skill set, and would be eager to serve if I get to vote. Thank you.
I love La Crescent. It's warmer than Bemidji, and I've been here for 11 years, and I just feel like I love the small hometown feel, and I love the school district. Like I said, have 4 kids, 2 are still here. Never once do I ever question, do they need to go to a different school district? No. We have phenomenal teachers and staff and administrators here, and I still want to be a part of that. I was on, like I said, PTO, ISD 300, and I still want to be a part of this great school district. Thank you.
I would like to once again thank Community Ed and the Chamber for holding this event tonight, because I think in the end what it shows is that we have some pretty good candidates up here that are all caring and want their community to be better. And I think it's, I've been inspired by some of the things that we've done here. But I think it's something that we want to do is we want to make our school better, right? We want our students, our kids to be successful adults. We want our teachers to be supported. We want everybody to be the best that they can be. So I think my leadership skills can help with that. I agree with the tech stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I really like that. We have a lot of inefficiencies with that, but I just want to thank everybody for coming and vote for Brandon. I can. Vote for Brandon. Thank you. Is it? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you for allowing me to MC tonight. I do just want to put out a reminder that this was recorded, and the link will be shared with you. Give us 24 to 48 hours before you'll see that, and I will hand it back over to Beth. Thank you.
Thank you, Krista, for doing a great job emceeing this evening. Yes, we will have that posted, hopefully within 24 to 48 hours. You'll see that posted on our Community Ed page, as well as we'll share it with the Chamber, so it'll be available on their page, and we'll blast it out on social media as well. And one thing that I failed to mention when I introduced the evening is that we are voting for 4 of our 5 candidates here tonight. So, again, Mr. Morgan is unable to be here this evening, but 4 faces will be sitting at the school board meetings. So, thank you all so much for your time this evening, and thank you candidates for being here.